Hello, Paul here, and just an update on the latest trip here. This is Yellowknife, Northwest Territories in Canada, and show you the flight that I took up here from Calgary on WestJet Encore, which was on a Bombardier Q400. Pretty cool experience, actually. It was really neat. Just a reminder, if you like videos like this related to travel and just exploration in general, click that little subscribe button there in the lower right-hand corner. That'd be terrific. We really appreciate it. Also, as I'm learning how to do these videos, I appreciate any comments, thumbs up, thumbs down. Give me feedback, let me know what I can do better. All right, so let's see the flight to Yellowknife.
This is Records Travels. Let's take a trip. This flight from Calgary to Yellowknife goes due north and covers a distance of 785 miles with a flight time of 2 hours and 33 minutes. It takes a little bit longer because this is a turboprop aircraft. So upon arrival in Calgary, you have volunteers directing you to flights continuing in Canada or going to international destinations. I checked the destination board to see that my flight was leaving out of gate A14 and then embarked on quite a long journey in order to get there. One of the things that was interesting about the Calgary airport is if you look on the right-hand side here, you can see there's almost like an interior roadway which has a way to escort passengers, with mobility issues back and forth over these vast distances within the airport. So even myself walking at a pretty brisk rate along with the moving sidewalks that help, this walk took me about 15 minutes to cover the distance to get to gate A14 for my flight to Yellowknife. So the aircraft for this flight is a Bombardier Q400, which is a turboprop plane, and as I'd mentioned in the introduction, the flight takes 2.5 hours because a plane like this is not capable, obviously, of the same speeds as a jet. It can go at max speed just a little over 400 miles per hour, which is, a jet can go 550, so this is a little bit slower, but it'll still definitely get you there. So moving down the jetway and boarding, notice I thought was kind of funny the pad that they put above the doorway to make sure nobody hit their head, because it was definitely a tight squeeze to get in. I'm just a little over 6 feet tall, and I definitely had to duck in order to make it in there. But there's quite a bit of space once you get in board the plane. There's overhead bins, there's plenty of space under the seats. My seat was 7A, which is right by, as you can see here, is right by the propeller, which I had a pretty good view of most of the flight. Not a lot of leg room, but again, this is a small plane to be expected, but there was enough room for me to be able to actually store my backpack underneath the seat. There was actually quite a bit of space under the seat. I was kind of surprised by that. And again, no in-flight entertainment system, and on this flight there was no Wi-Fi available and no options for entertainment. There was also no power outlets at the seats, so something to be aware of. But again, here you can kind of get a sense of how much space there was under the seat, which was actually quite a lot. And maybe because they didn't have any kind of in-flight entertainment system or anything like that under the seats, it provided maybe just a little bit more space. But do be aware of the fact that there is no in-seat power, so plan accordingly and bring your own entertainment if you need that. So at this point, everybody had boarded the plane, and it was time to push back from the gate and be on our way.
Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à bord du vol WestJet 3359 pour Yellowknife. La durée du vol sera de 2 heures et 3 minutes. Votre sécurité est notre priorité. Veuillez nous accorder votre attention pour vous présenter les mesures de sécurité suivantes. Vous trouverez devant vous une carte des mesures de sécurité concernant cet avion. Veuillez suivre avec nous les points importants.
so after a nice smooth takeoff, we were climbing in altitude and cruising over the prairies of Alberta on our way up to Yellowknife. And it didn't take very long, but shortly after takeoff, here we are flying over the city of Edmonton, Alberta, which is a very good sized city and probably the last city of any significance before we get to Yellowknife. Now when it comes to food and drink options on board this particular flight, the choices were quite limited in comparison to the earlier flight this morning on the 737 aircraft, which makes sense because a plane like this is not going to have the same storage capacity, and so the choices are just a little bit more limited. So instead of a little booklet, it's basically a card front and back that kind of outlines your beverage choices and just a couple of snacks that they have available for you to buy. But they are there, and there's an option for you to do that, and so that is at least something. But it is worth knowing this in the event that you take this flight, that if you think you're going to be hungry, probably go ahead and plan to bring your own food on the plane, because unless you're satisfied with just a drink and pretzels like I am, then you may want to pack on some additional food in order to get you by, because it is a 2.5-hour flight, and so that is a little bit longer. So at this point in the flight, when I took a look out the window, started to notice that the weather is definitely kind of changing, and not for the better, which made me a little bit concerned to wonder what we're going to wind up with in Yellowknife. Now, one thing else that's worth pointing out on these turboprop planes is that the propellers make a tremendous amount of noise, and so I was very happy that I had a set of noise-canceling headphones, because it made the trip a lot more tolerable. It would have been pretty annoying to not have those. So again, kind of wondering what the weather was going to look like as there's more clouds. One thing too I did was I paid a visit to the lavatory, which does not have a sink. I thought that was quite interesting. All that's there is a bottle of hand sanitizer. And also, I could barely even stand up in there. It's an extremely tight fit, so I would say only use the lavatory if it is an absolute must. So, starting now to descend into the Yellowknife area. And if you look down below, you can actually see some roadways and some indications that there might be some human beings nearby, because for a while there you didn't really see much of anything. And at this point, as we're coming into Yellowknife, you can see the Great Slave Lake. And I'm actually going to leave the raw footage of the landing here. It's about 6 or 7 minutes, just because this is such a remote area that not a lot of people are going to get to see. And so I think it's worth kind of seeing the whole approach and landing into Yellowknife, just because it is such a unique destination and really a fascinating area, especially given the fact that it is so far north and so remote. And it's actually a very well-developed city, has a very good infrastructure. It's actually the center of government for the Northwest Territories, and so that's the primary employer there. But even in downtown Yellowknife, you'll see a lot of large buildings and a lot of businesses there, so it's actually a very thriving community, which was kind of a neat treat to be able to see. And I really, really enjoyed my visit there. I thought it was really, really cool, so definitely worth it. So anyhow, enjoy the approach into Yellowknife and the landing, and enjoy the views.
until the aircraft is parked at the gate and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Smoke is only permitted in designated areas. Use caution when you're leaving the aircraft. There's limited head clearance on the way out. We'll be exiting into the ramp today. Please be careful, watch your steps, and follow the direction of WestJet agents. Smoking is not permitted in the ramp area. Do not use cell phone, earphones, or personal electronic devices while you make your way inside the terminal. If you have any questions about connecting flights or baggage, speak with the WestJet agent inside of the terminal. We'll be happy to assist you. On behalf of the crew, thank you for including us in your travel plan. We wish you a warm welcome home, a great stay in the area, or a safe and pleasant journey to your next destination. Thank you for choosing WestJet and helping to make this TripAdvisor's best airline in Canada. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à Yellowknife. L'heure locale est de midi 22. Veuillez rester assis avec votre ceinture attachée pendant qu'on se déplace au sol. Tous les bagages doivent rester rangés jusqu'à ce que l'avion soit immobilisé et les voyants de ceinture éteints. Il est permis de fumer que dans les endroits désignés. Faites attention en sortant de l'avion car le plafond est bas à la sortie. Comme nous allons descendre par une rampe, nous demandons de faire attention en sortant de l'avion à suivre la direction des agents WestJet. Il est interdit de fumer au niveau de la rampe. Veuillez ne pas utiliser cellulaire, écouteur ou appareil électronique pendant que vous vous rendez à l'intérieur de l'aérogare. Si vous avez des questions sur les vols de correspondance ou les bagages, veuillez parler avec l'agent WestJet à l'intérieur de l'aérogare qui vous aidera avec plaisir. Au nom des membres de l'équipage, nous vous remercions d'avoir voyagé avec nous. Nous vous souhaitons un bon retour, un bon séjour dans la région ou un parcours agréable et sécuritaire vers votre prochaine destination. Merci d'avoir choisi WestJet et nous avoir désigné meilleure compagnie aérienne au Canada sur TripAdvisor. Nous espérons vous accueillir bientôt.
So because this flight wasn't very full, it didn't take very long at all for everybody to get off the plane once we landed in Yellowknife. In fact, they allowed people to exit from either the front or the back of the plane, depending upon where they were seated. And as you can see, you simply exit the aircraft and make your way towards the terminal. You can see here, I mean, the Yellowknife Airport is not very big. I mean, that's all of it right there. You can see the whole thing. So you've got a control tower and a small terminal, which you'll see in just a moment. And again, a very good experience flying on the Q400. It is noisy. The lavatory is definitely small, but you know, it's a good aircraft, and it'll definitely get you to where you need to be comfortably. So I liked it. I had a good time on it, and I really enjoyed my experience. So as you come in from the tarmac into the terminal at Yellowknife, you're treated with quite a surprise as you enter the baggage claim area, and that is a polar bear. And that polar bear is actually going after a seal, which is trying to escape by diving below that piece of ice there. And just a quick kind of look around the terminal here in Yellowknife. There's options for food, there's options for rental cars, and there's also a little gift shop here called The Cabin, where you can pick up a little something on your way either in or out of town for friends or family. And overall, the terminal is very, very functional, very easy to navigate, and perfect for a city of this size. So overall, I had a very good experience with WestJet. From my earlier flight to Calgary and then my connecting flight onto Yellowknife, got me exactly to where I needed to be, and I was more than happy to be in Yellowknife and check out this really cool city. So thank you for coming along on the journey with me. I hope you've enjoyed this video and maybe the previous video of the flight to Calgary, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming along. So this is Records Travels. Thanks for watching.